Jerry is directed by Tim Story and it stars Chloe Grace Moretz, Michael Pena, Rob Delaney, Ken Jeong, Colin Jost, and Tom and Jerry as themselves. You know, even they make that joke in this movie. That's how lazy it is. I'll get to that. And it's about Tom and Jerry who live in this world where humans and cartoon characters kind of live together. It's never really explained. And Tom and Jerry are just causing a muck, and this girl, played by Chloe Grace Moretz, gets this job at a hotel where a big event is supposed to take place. A big wedding is supposed to take place. And since Tom and Jerry are just doing everything to destroy each other, in the hotel, Chloe Grace Moretz hires Tom to basically get Jerry, and we have a Tom and Jerry movie. So when I first heard that there was a Tom and Jerry movie coming out, I was not amused. Like, I did not look forward to it. I'm not really the biggest fan of them, but I do remember, like, watching them occasionally, like, on Cartoon Network when I was, like, homesick or something. And it was alright, I guess. I guess it's just not my thing. I guess I'm just not really into slapstick anymore. So, and with a new movie, it's kind of like following that trend of movies like The Smurfs, Yogi Bear, Garfield. Let's just take something that was really popular years ago and let's readapt it for modern times to make kids now watch it. And it's about as good as those movies, which is not very good, unfortunately. Is there anything good in this movie? A few things. There are some moments. The only times this movie actually kind of made me laugh were moments where it's like, it may not be intentionally funny. Like, there's like a poster in the background for a Joker-like movie where they replaced Joaquin Phoenix with Droopy the dog, and I'm like, wait, are they serious? Did they just put that in there? And there's also a scene beginning where Tom's playing the piano, and, you know, he's pretending to be blind, and Jerry comes in, and people are throwing money because Jerry's dancing, because, you know, a cat playing the piano is not impressive, apparently. And they even call that out, like, they get into a little scuffle, and it's revealed, oh, the cat isn't actually blind. And some human characters are like, oh, it's just a regular cat playing the piano, I'm leaving. A regular cat playing the piano and you're not amused? How? I don't know why. I mean, it kind of made me laugh because it was just so ridiculous. Like, why? Like, why does that not impress you? You seen it on the internet before? I don't know. The animation on Tom and Jerry is decent. It's pretty good. I'm kind of glad that they kind of used the original design instead of, like, going for, say, a CGI realistic cats-like thing. Nope. Glad they didn't do that. So for that, it's like, it's decent enough. And occasionally the slapstick works. Like, okay, that's funny. Like, they made a funny sound when they got hurt or something. But watching this movie, you realize this is a Tom and Jerry movie, and they're really in the movie, and they actually, you know, fight for like 5 minutes. And this movie is 100 minutes. What do they do with the other 95 minutes? Well, it's mostly for the human characters who are just bad in every way. Chloe Grace Moretz, she tries in this movie, but her character's just so unlikable. Like, she is not really good at her job. She quits at the beginning of the movie, and then she goes to this hotel to try to get a job, and she meets this businesswoman. She meets this really well-dressed woman who's applying for a job there, and she decides, you know, this is actually part of the interview. Yeah, you just failed this interview. Get out of here. So then she takes this woman's resume, rips off her name on the resume, and just say, oh yeah, here's my resume. And this is supposed to be our hero, ladies and gentlemen. How are we supposed to like this character after doing that? I mean, really. And Michael Pena, he's very stiff in this movie. He doesn't really have any qualities to him other than he's supposed to be just the villain. Like, he's supposed to be very bland as well, I guess. Because, like, there's a scene with him, Chloe Grace Moretz, and Rob Delaney. And Rob Delaney's like, hey, this is this person, he runs this department, and I'm this person, and I run this department. And Chloe Grace looks at a fish bowl, sees a fish in there, and she goes, oh, that must be the head of the aquatics department. It's like, I get it, it's supposed to be funny, I'm not laughing, And Michael Pena is like, yeah, what's wrong with her? Like, why would she say that? That doesn't make sense. And I'm like, are they really trying to explain this joke? This movie is just talking down to kids, and I'll get to that at the end. Meanwhile, there's an engaged couple played by Colin Jost, and I forgot the actress's name, unfortunately. But they're an engaged couple, and they are so bland. Like, they are just uninteresting as characters. Like, his main arc is like, he's trying to go all extravagant for this wedding. He has all these drones, elephants, and it's just not interesting. He has no personality. And neither does this character. The female character, she's not very interesting either. She's just upset because he's going overboard with the wedding. And it's just kind of boring. It's like, cut back to the Tom and Jerry stuff. Like, I didn't go into a Tom and Jerry movie wanting to see an engaged couple just argue and to see some girl just steal someone's resume. I don't need to see that. And as I mentioned, the slapstick works every once in a while, and then eventually it just wears off, because, like, I'm just getting tired of it. Because, like, Tom and Jerry, they only show, like, 5-minute cartoons or something. And it works for those 5 minutes. But for a movie that's 100 minutes, that's not good. And especially when the ratio is also really bad. When it's like there's very little fighting between them, and the rest is just, like, all this stupid human characters. It's literally an even more kid-friendly... It's like a kid-friendly version of Transformers, except, you don't have those giant robots. And it's thankfully a lot shorter. So, also I found the music to be kind of odd. It's like they try to modernize a lot of things about this movie, but you just kind of make it dated in that way. Like, try to add all this modern music to the movie, and it just feels odd in this movie. Like, really off. Like, it just annoyed me. And there are these really annoying cartoon pigeons who occasionally appear. Like, they sing part of the song in the opening. Then they occasionally come back for a recap, which is literally what we just watched. And on top of that, this movie is a Warner Brothers movie, so of course, because it's also a kids movie as well, there's gotta be references to other things. Mainly Batman. And I'm like, can you reference something else? Actually, no. Just stop referencing stuff. I know you got a large library with, like, DC, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, but just stop it. Just stop it. Don't talk down to kids, and don't pander to kids. And eventually, by the end of this movie, I kind of just realized, I've seen this all before. I've seen this movie before. This has been the same type of movie that studio executives have been making for the last 20 years, maybe more, I don't know, where they just take old cartoons and try to modernize them in some way, and hopefully, people will go and see it, because it's like, hey, we're bringing this into the modern times, and, how well has that worked? Not really. At least creatively, but not really. It's like, I saw this movie when I was like 10 years old, and they're still doing it, 17 years later. Wow. Are we going to have any new ideas? No, of course not. So, I feel like kids deserve better than this. I feel like I deserve better than this. I feel like Tom and Jerry fans deserve better than this. I feel like a lot of people deserve better than this. Yeah, overall, Tom and Jerry is... If you saw movies like The Smurfs, Yogi Bear, Garfield, all those types of movies, then you honestly don't need to see this movie, because it's basically the same thing as those movies. I don't know, like, Tom and Jerry fans are not going to like it because, it takes them and kind of puts them in there for a little bit, and it's not going to interest moviegoers because all these characters are just awful. They're awful and we're supposed to like them. And I'm like, no, I don't like them. I hated everyone in this movie. I wish there was more Tom and Jerry in this movie, and I just wish I didn't see it. I'm going to give Tom and Jerry 1 out of 4 stars. Skip it. So, what is your favorite movie? What's your favorite live-action, CGI, hybrid, cartoon movie, if you like any of them? Comment down below, subscribe to the channel. This is Pat, and stay safe.